project is the basis. It's the biggest box that fits everything. And assemblies are sort of sub-projects. And if you think about it like doing a kitchen, you have, the project is the kitchen or one wall of the kitchen, and the assemblies are the cabinets in that kitchen. Entertainment center, the wall could be the project, and the different segments and divisions of the entertainment center are the assemblies. This is our first look at the calculator. And this calculator is able to size and locate anything in 3 dimensions. And the way I do that is this row has to do with the base values. So if I put this assembly in now, it would have a bottom of 0, a left of 0, and a front of 0. If I want to go in and change that, say I'm going to make that 36, you see when I enter the text 36, these 2 buttons turn green. That means that they're hot, they're active, whatever. So I'm going to click top, and you see that the bottom is 0, the height is 36, and the top is 36, which makes sense. I went in here, say the left is 4, and I can say the right is 36, and click that. Then it calculates that the width of the assembly is 32. And finally, I just want to change that to 24. I'm going to leave it front 0 and change the back. Now I'm ready. And there is the assembly. And the assembly is in the project. Okay. And I know, because I put that there, that's 4 inches from the left end of the project. One of the tool sets in SketchList are the dots. The blue dots tell me a location. So the location of that dot is 4 left, 0, 0 bottom and front. I wanted to change that. I can say left is 12 and the front is 2, and apply that, and that moved it accordingly. Now, if I go in there, you'll see 12, 0, and 2. And that's just a quick way to locate things. And especially when you're trying to align stuff, and you'll see it in a little bit, it's really very, very helpful. Now the red dots, so the blue dots locate, the red dots resize. If I wanted to, then I say, well, this is really 36 inches. I'll just say it's 36, and there it is. And this is, of course, an empty assembly. I'm going to delete that and just get started in a different way. And those of you who have been here or know me know that I'm kind of big on a building block approach. And what that means is that you're going to have a library full of things that you've already designed in your custom way of doing woodwork that you're going to call on again and again. So you don't have to build everything from board 1 to board 80 and do it every time. Once you create something, you can say, I'm going to save that, and I'm going to use it again and again and again. And the way I do it is the things I save are pretty basic and pretty fundamental. So if I click that icon in the upper left, say I want to pull a design from the library. So I've got a bunch of them, and I can just say, you know what, I'm going to start with this, and say add, and now I have my assembly, and it's floating in the air because the assemblies are library items are always inserted in the middle of the project because we don't know where you want to go. But I can select that assembly. Oops. The project level, select the assembly, and just on the right-hand side, I'm taking that slide bar and dragging it down, And I'm going to take the left-right slide bar and move it, move it over this way. And I have my first carcass, if you want to call it that. And then, you know, with the tools, you're sort of off to the races. You've got the basic box designed, whatever kind of joinery you use. If you have a rabbet down the back of the sides and top, mortise and tenon on that shelf, whatever. The way that you cut things in the shop and put things together in the shop, they all reflect inside your base. It's like seed corn or whatever you call it when you water the well or whatever. But you just call it in, and now you can do an awful lot, because I can take this and I can, red dots resize. I just say, well, this is really 60, like that. So now I have a different cabinet, and I can take that and roll over to the lower right corner and say clone and mirror. And I've got not an exact copy, I have a copy of this. But for example, if I had a hole on the left side of this box, clone and mirror would have flipped it so that that hole is on the right side. And where it's probably more realistic is if on my shelves or on my siders, left and right side pieces, I had peg holes for shelf pegs. If I put them on the inside of the left board and I do a clone and mirror, they would come on the right side of the left board, do a clone and mirror, it would come onto the left side of this board. So you don't have to redo all the work. You just kind of get comfortable with the tools. And like I said, the blue dots locate. So I say, I want to butt these two things together. I'm going to take those values, left of 72 and so on, and copy them. And I'm going to grab that blue dot here, and I'm going to paste that. So I paste and apply. Now they just join. The left, if you look, the left of that is 72. And I'm sorry, the right of that is 72, and the left of this is 72. So they're absolutely snug up against each other. Okay. And again, the right dots resize. I could make this into any size. I say here, the depth is 18. I want 12. I can do that. I can go into a shelf. I can go into an assembly and take this shelf and say, I want to make multiple copies of this. And I'm going kind of quickly because I just want to establish a flow, and we'll go back into the tools in more detail. But this time I want to make a couple shelves. So I say clone and space. Get that out of the way. I want to come up from the bottom, and I'm going to put in two shelves, put them there at 12 inches each, and clone them. And there you are. Okay. So the idea is there's three steps. We insert an object, we locate the object, and we size the object. Sometimes it's insert, size, and locate. Size and locate, you can intermix those two. But here we have our next step in development. And every time I make some change here, that change is reflected in all of the reports. So if I ran a cut list now and compared it to the cut list before I made this change, you would see the new sizes of all these parts. Okay. So is everyone clear on that? All right. We have a container called assembly, and the goal of the assembly is to allow you to manage all of the parts in that assembly as if it was one unit. So now I can come in here and say, this is really, I'm going to right click that. Say this is a width of 36, like that. and all of the changes for the shelves and top and bottom boards all move from 48 to 36 or a 12-inch difference. And that's how that building block idea, you come up with a couple basic carcasses that are created to your way of building, and then you can manipulate them 9 ways to Sunday. You can do a lot. So that's the container. Another type of container, which is actually a subassembly, is I can add, one of them is a drawer. So I can add a drawer, and the new drawer form opens. I'm going to call this drawer 1. And so I'm working on the insert right now, and coincidentally with the size. So I will say the bottom of this drawer is going to be 1 inch. Oops. What I want to do is I want to put it in that assembly. I think bottom is 1 inch. The height will be, say, 14. And again, I can click the top. 1 plus 14 is 15. The left will be 1. The width will be, I don't know, 24, and click right. And then the depth of that piece is 18. So I say 18. Keep the front at 0 and move it back like that. Now I insert the drawer. Does not fit. Okay, let's say this is 10. That's a rule in SketchList. Everything has to fit in its assembly. There's only 3 rules. Everything has to fit in the assembly is an important one. So now it takes me and it puts me right into the drawer level. So there are different levels that we work at. We work at the project level. We work at the assembly level right there. And then in the assembly, we can work at the drawer level. Okay. Now that, what did I do? Okay. So look, check here. The front of that is 1.5. So I'm just going to take this and push that back. So the front is 1.5. So it lines up to the front of the pieces on the cabinet itself. Look up here, and I'm looking at this calculator, and say the bottom of that calculator, 17.25. So I can put this at, say, the top of that, I could put at 17.125. And now we have an empty container called a drawer. And I'm going to fill out the drawer, and we'll learn about boards because so far we've been kind of a couple levels away from the board level. In order to put a board into any container or subcontainer, what you do is go to the top left, click Add a Board. Now this board's going to be, call it front panel. And it's already picked by default because this is lit up. All right, it's already picked where it's going to go. But if I want to put it somewhere else, I could put it somewhere else. But I want to put it into that drawer. Okay. So the first 2 pieces of information about a board are its name and where is it going. The third piece of information is what is it going to be made of. And just for, if I wanted to make it dimension lumber, I can select material and either pick a lumber to use for that drawer front, solid or not. And then I could pick that. I'm not going to do that because I don't have a material that's that big. It's 16 inches. I don't have a piece of 16-inch material. So I'm just going to use this oak sheet good. So name, location, and material. The width, and for a drawer, this is really easy because all I have to do is, if you see the cursor on the bottom of the screen where the drawer is highlighted gray, width is 24, height is 16.125. So this is 24. This is 16 1/8. And because the material is 3/4 of an inch, the depth of that board, the front board of the drawer, the depth is 3/4 of an inch. Okay, so we have the fourth piece of information. Now these two, you may have to think about a little bit. SketchList needs to know to produce images, cut lists, and optimized diagrams. SketchList needs to know which of these three dimensions is the thickness. And it is almost always the thickness of the board, of the material. Sometimes it might be different if you had solid material that has a thickness of 2 inches or whatever. But when I click this around, you see if I pick that as the thickness, that's a bottom, that's a sideboard, and this is a front board, which is the panel of the drawer. And the second piece of information we need for the same reasons for the reporting is which way is the grain going to run. So I was going to say the grain running the width. Okay. And there's our panel, front panel of the drawer. If we continue, I'm going to go and put another board in there. So this time, I'm going to do the left side, same container, and say I'll use the same material. So in this case, now this is to watch. We want to put the board on the side here. And the way we do that is we say that is the thickness. So you have a 3/4 inch board, might have a 1/2 inch, but you have a 3/4 inch board, and you want it to look that way when it gets put into the drawer. The height, so maybe you say this is 14, and the depth, what's the depth of that drawer, is 10. So I'm going to make this a little smaller. Then I'm going to say that's 9. I want to set the grain direction, which is going to go the depth, which is going to go front to back like that. That's the grain direction. The thickness is this arrow showing us the thickness. Okay. Left. Now we can not only insert and size, but we can locate. So say I want that 1/2 inch over. So you're going to put a drawer slide on. Bottom, I'll do another 1/2 inch. And then the front is going to be 3/4 because I want it to set back 3/4 of an inch from the front panel. So now I'm all set, I think. There we go. Okay. That's another board. I can go in there and just say clone and mirror, and that automatically makes the other board. And you'll see that that has the same sizes. So it's the original board was set back a 1/2 inch from the left. This is set back a 1/2 inch from the right. So, you know, they're equal. Next board I'm going to put, it would be, say, the bottom board. Same container. The width, and I say this quite a bit, I don't care initially what the width is because I'm going to adjust that dynamically. And I don't want to do the calculations that you might want to do. So I'm going to say 3/4 is the thickness because that's what a drawer bottom looks like. And the depth is going to be, again, I just say 6 because I don't want to calculate it. Put the grain direction that way. The front would be 3/4, and I'm ignoring the joinery for now. Bottom is going to be a 1/2, and left would be 1 1/4, I think, like that, like this. Now I'm looking from the back, and I look like I'm okay. Now it's just what I'm going to do is take that red dot, hold down the shift key, and slide it over. And superstitiously, I always slow down when I get to the target board. And I can't really see that very well. So I'm going to select the board and say, I'm going to color that board, say red. So, you know, at least while I'm working with it, it's not going to of course, become red, but I grab from the sideboard, the back value is 9 3/4. Right click that, say the back is 9 3/4, like this. Oh, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to say it's 9. At least when you make a mistake here, you don't use up material. And what I can do is I can take that board and clone it. So I've got front panel 1. And you really should be renaming these all the time, because you get to the point where you've got a couple hundred boards and they're all variations of the first board. It's kind of hard to figure out where you are. So it's a good practice to do that. So come up here and say the back. I renamed it back. Okay. And it's cloned. So what I'm going to do is just take the slider bar from front to back, just go all the way back here. Okay. And I'm putzing with this a bit. So the top of this is 14.5. Red dot makes that 14.5. 14.5. So it's correct there. And then I want to put it down between those boards. Well, what I can do is take that red dot, slide it back this way. And I'm checking now. The back of that board is 9. The front of that board has to be 9. So I do that, get my greens. I want to do that like this. Did I not do it correctly? The front of this board has to be 9. Move from the back. There you go. Then what I'll do is just take, again, red dot, hold down the shift key, slide it over till it snaps. I know the bottom's a 1/2 inch from the bottom, like that. And the same thing here. I can go this way, hold down the shift, and there's our drawer. More or less. What's wrong here? I didn't do this right. And then shift. There we go. There's our drawer. Any questions?
Yes, I've got one. I made some drawers in a chest of drawers. I made 6 drawers in the bottom, side by side. So I've got, 3 levels of them. The bottom 2 drawers fit the container exactly, lacking a 1/2 inch on each side for the slides. And then when I removed the back off from this case and took a look, 4 of the drawers didn't go all the way to the back of the assembly. And so I pulled them out one board at a time. Is there a way that I could have stretched everything at once?
Sure. So say, let me get rid of, I'm going to hide this board. Hide that so we can see our drawer, okay? So that depth is, so it may, say I made it 7, right? And that's kind of the situation you had. Your drawers were a little bit short. They weren't deep enough, right? So if you do, you just grab the board. Now it's a depth of 7. And I right click that and say the depth is 9. And it'll automatically adjust everything. Right? What it does when you do that kind of change is it says, let me do it again. You see that black box there? Well, what the rule is that anything that's in front of the box, the cutting plane, it's going to stay because I'm moving backwards. Anything that's behind the black box is going to be moved, and anything that's touched by the cutting plane is going to have those 2 inches added to it. Want me to do it again?
Yeah.
Okay. So in this case, say I notice realistically that I didn't make it, I didn't make our drawer wide enough. So what I do is just click this quick, say its left value is 35 1/4. So I can come up here and say the right of this is 35 1/4, like that, moving it over. And it makes that adjustment. And all of the boards are, I just added whatever it was, 12 inches to all those boards. And it does the right thing. I can go into the drawer now. And you see the drawer still has its same basic shape and sizes, except for the front, bottom, and back, because those had to change to make it wider. Try another one.
I'm good.
Anybody else have a question about that? All right, great. And that's, again, that's the thing about a couple things. The thing about the building block approach. I could make this drawer and put all of the joinery I want in it. I could put slots for the drawer bottom to go in, and I could put a round over on the front panel, and I can save that into my library. And then when I pull it out for my next project, assuming that you more or less make things the same way all the time, you could pull it into your next project and say, well, now it's I need it here. It's going to be a 6-inch drawer, like that. And you don't have to remake it. You just take what you have in your library and you modify it. Okay, and that's one of the big time savers. The other thing is there's only 3 tools, okay? And the red dots, they resize the container and they resize accordingly the boards inside the container. Okay. The blue dots, all they do is locate. And I'm looking at this backwards like that. And what happened here? The right of that is 3/4. This should have been 3/4. Yeah, 3/4. Miscalculate. 3/4. I don't know why that's happening. The left of this should be 3/4. I'm just going to take it and drag it over there.
I have a quick question, if I may.
Sure.
So I've designed an entire garage layout, but how do I add in the materials, like the wood, like you see here? Because I did it from scratch. I wasn't using, add their assembly of a door or whatnot. How do I add the wood products? Because when I go to add, it does nothing.
Great question. And I was just going to go there in a bit. So say we wanted to, we're going to add I don't know, we're going to add a board here. So what to do is go to materials. Okay. And this is the material form. What you would do is you would pick out the type. So if you were going to add 2x4s, for example, it'd be a solid lumber, right? And you want to add new. Just push that plus sign, right? And this will be 2x4 solid lumber, and I'm just going to put it in as 2x4, 2x4, and the length is, say, 96. Okay. Then what you do is put in the grain direction. So we always have to keep that grain direction consistent for the cut list. If you want, you can put a cost in here for that board. Say it's, I don't know what it is, $4, and say okay, and then okay again. And the next time I go making a board, I can say test center, select the material. Select the material is our 2x4 right there. Okay. The width will be 24, height will be 4, the depth will be 2, like this. The grain's running the width, and there's my 2x4. One quick, Timothy, would you like me to go through that again?
So I guess I'm doing mine differently than you. So what I do is I just start an assembly, and then I do an assembly, and then I just build it, and it's just clear. It's just like it's opaque. You can see through it.
Yeah.
So there's no lumber. But then when I click on the item, and then add materials, it's not adding it. Does that make sense? So if you just add an assembly without using the ones on the left that are pre-made, don't use those, right? And just like go up to like insert.
Yeah.
Okay, well, all right, you try that one then.
So
build something not adjacent to that. Build something new.
Yeah, this will be new. I'm going to hide everything else. So the depth is going to be, say, 4, like that. I'm going to insert it. All right, just give me 1 second. And so I'm going to hide this, that. So this is our wall, right? Am I with you now?
Well, let's say you're making a cabinet. I guess you can make it that big. I don't care. But it comes clear like that. And then when I'm trying to add material to it, it's not, I can't seem to add it.
Okay. So when you're at the assembly level, what goes into an assembly are boards, doors, or drawers. So you can't add a material directly into an assembly. So what you do is you say, I'm going to put in a board, and it's going to be called stud, like that. It's going to go into the assembly. I'm going to make it out of that material that I just created. The width will be 2, the height will be 96, and the depth is going to be 4. This is the thickness, this is the grain, like that, right? Does that help?
Yeah, I guess, but it seems like every time I try to use it, I always get this error. I don't know what it is I'm doing wrong, because I mean, I actually did a really nice build out and the clear opaque. I just can't get it to.
Yeah. Are you inserting a board into that container?
It's just like, even like I did the cabinets. I built the cabinets themselves. I built them, and it's where I put, like, it says drawer, but they're all still opaque. They don't have the color, which then when I try to go to materials, tell me what materials I need, they're obviously showing nothing because there's nothing on there. So like you can build, and using the assembly, you can build a whole layout, a kitchen opaque, but it doesn't tell you, what materials you're using until you add the materials. But when I add the materials, it won't let me.
But you can't add the materials until you add a board.
Okay, so
it's interesting that you brought that up, because I conversation with a guy on the phone this week. He's really cool, and he built a music studio in his house, and he did it all with SketchList. And what he did, rather than actually make the assemblies with wood, doors and drawers and things, he just made them like you're explaining, just transparent boxes, because the things he was adding into his project weren't cabinets; they were pieces of electrical gear, and so he just made them out of transparent assembly, and he got them all together, and he was very, very happy about the result, because everything fit. But if you wanted to, you can't put the material directly into the assembly. So you put the board in, and then it's kind of cool, I think. You can say, I want to clone and space these.
I'm familiar with the clone and spacing, but it's just, I mean, I built this whole thing out, and you would think that you'd be able to go, okay, like click on another section of that board and say, okay, maple, boom, and it should be able to go pop, 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 and automatically fit the sizes the way I'm looking at it. You know,
Yeah, I'm having a hard time understanding, but if you wanted to, you could take that and go to File, Export, and export that project and email it to me at Dave@SketchList, and I'll open it up tomorrow, the next day, and take a look. I'm having a hard time getting my head around what you're saying. You know what I mean?
Okay.
All right. Thank you. I'm sorry I don't have a better answer. I just.
Yeah, you'll see it. It's beautiful, but it's just like I said, it just doesn't have the wood and the shelving.
Well, a couple things are missing.
Yeah, I just don't know how to get that in there. And that was my biggest problem.
Yeah, we'll get to it.
Okay.
Send me that email, and I'll load it up and take a look, and I'll get in touch with you.
Okay. And you said that was David@sketchlist.com?
Dave@sketchlist.com. Yeah.
Oh, Dave@sketchlist. Okay.
Hi,
Okay.
Dave.
Yes.
Can you show us how, like, if you want to do a side panel with like a cutout for the toe kick,
Sure.
how you would do that?
Yes, sir. That's a great question. So if we go back here, I'm going to take this assembly and just get out of it. All right. Go into here, and I'm going to take that left side. I'm going to take this left side, okay? So there's like a hierarchy, there's an order. So it's project, assembly, doors and drawers, boards, and then at the board level, we have the board detail level. So if I want to do something detailed to this board, I've got to go to the detail level. And what I can do is if I double click that, oops, why is that the right side? If I double click this, all right, so select it and go in the lower right-hand corner, just say details. Now I've got the board called, you know what I did? I misnamed them. That's why I'm confused. In fact, I'm going to change this. See, I told you, you got to rename these things. So I'm going to take that thing called left, and I'm going to go to the action panel, the lower right of the screen, and do details. Now, a board consists of 4 edges, mostly. It could be more. And when I select the edge, it comes up green. And I do that if I want to add joinery or contours to an edge. If I want to do something to a surface, which is cut a notch for a toe kick or put a hole in it or a series of holes, like for cabinet pegs, I go and I select the edge. And it doesn't matter with the toe kick because it's going all the way through. I select the edge and I say on the lower right corner, say shape. All right. And now what I'm looking at, let me make it a little smaller. I'm looking at the board from the side, and you see over here, this is the front. So that's where I want the toe kick. Shaping is just a matter of adding, deleting, or moving the dots. So in order to do that, I go over to the right and I say add a point. In fact, I'm going to make that a little bigger so I can see. Say add a point right there, boom. And so say the toe kick is that deep and this tall. Now what I want to do is I'm going to get off, add a point. I don't want to add the point anymore. I'm going to select this point. Oops. Yeah, I'm going to select that point. And if I look down here, I put it in the wrong place. So I'm going to change that to 3 so it moves up. Then I'm going to select this, go back here and say from the front it's 4, from the bottom it's 3. Right now it's 0, 0. 4 and 3 will put it up here where I'll have my toe kick. So I do that. And I've got it. Now what I do, just because I am the way I am, is I look over here and say, yep, it's 4 and 3. Sometimes it might drop it off by a 1/16 of an inch or something. I want to make sure that it's just square. Then if I come back to that cabinet, where did my toe kit go? Come on. Oh, I know. My fault. You got to say save. I didn't save it. So do it again. Okay, so I'm going to say details. And there, a shape. Again, insert, delete, and move points. So I'm going to insert a point there, like that, and insert a point here like that. Then I turn off the insert button. And I say I want to grab that one. And from the front, it'll be 4. From the bottom, it'll be 3. Update and save, which I failed to do the first time. Go back to that assembly, so I've got that now. Now what I can do is I can take this and delete it. Take this, clone and mirror it, and then take that and say the top of that board is, I think 3, and I want to move it up. Now it's not quite right. 3 3/4. Oh, the bottom of that board should have been 3. Oops. The bottom of the board is 3. Okay.
Hey, Dave.
Yeah, Neville, is that okay with you?
That's perfect. Thank you very much.
Okay. And Brian, did you have a question?
Yeah, so now that we're doing the shelves, say I usually dado my shelves into the sides and back 1/4 inch.
Yeah.
And I found that I built all my shelves and all my cabinets, but I didn't account for that dado. How can you do one shelf respace and apply all those dados so it's 1/2 inch, 1/4 inch on each side, 1/2 inch total width or length, I guess.
Sure.
Thickness. Can you go over that?
Yep. Same thing. It's a matter of board detail. So I'm going to grab the board that I want and then take this. And here's, of course, you would figure this out because you're all smart woodworkers. But here's the thing. I'm kind of cruising to cover a lot. But when I work, I might put this board up here and clone and space it just to see what it looks like. But before I really get to cloning, I'll go in there and I'll completely detail out that board so I don't have to do any more work when I clone it. The same thing here. I would put the dados on this bottom board, and then I would clone that, and all of the boards that I needed would be there. So I'm going to go to board details, and I'm going to select one end, and then I'm going to hold down the shift key and select the other end. Pick lower right corner, joinery, tenon, and I'm going to, you could accept the default, or you could just say whatever. You could say, I'm going to accept the default. And the depth here is Z, which is 1/4. So I'd save that. Now, you know what I did? I unclicked myself, but they should have come up on both ends. So now you've got the tenon in, and if you want to put in the slot for that, take and see here that the bottom is 3, and then that tab is 1/4. So the hole I want to put here is 3 1/4. Well, we'll see. I'm going to go to details, and here I want to take the left side board, I think. Come back up, and I want to put in holes. What I would do is I'm going to say I want a rectangular hole. Point A is going to be 3. Point B is 0. The height of this, I'm just going to take 3/4. The width is going to be 16.5. And I know that because that number is shown at the top of the screen there, the width of the board. And the depth will be, say, 1/4 inch, right? And then save. Holes outside of the board. Well, I don't really care. Oh, I see. It's not going to let me save. 16.5 height. I'm going to try this at 16. I don't know why that's happening. I think it might have something to do with that toe kick. Let's put a little bit there. One of the rules is you can't put anything outside of its container. Let me just try something small. Yeah, there's something wrong. I made a mistake and it's essentially locking this board up. So I'm going to cancel and I'm going to try it again. Let's go to here. All right. So the bottom of this board is 17.25. So if I take this, I'm going to add a detail. The left side, I want to put holes or dado. Rectangular. Point A, the 17.5, because it's 17.25 plus 1/4. Point B is 0. Height is 3/4. Width 16.5 and depth 0.25. There it is. Yeah, so there's something about it. It was running into the toe kick, and I expect that I may have had one of those dimensions incorrect. So once you do that, you come back to the go back to edit holes, and there's my dado. If I right click this and strike edit, so I'm back at that point again. Get out of there for now. And what I want to do, I don't want to edit it. I want to clone and space it. So from the bottom, say you have, I don't know, 10 inches between each board. And I want to put, okay, it's not going to let me put 4 because I'm outside the board. But if I say 10 inches, I'm putting 3 shelves in there and do the clone thing, and there they are. Okay. Now, if I get out here, come back to the assembly, and this will show clone and space very nicely. Come back here, and I think I can right click here. Right click, clone and space mirror like that, and there you see I've got my slots for my shelves. Actually, I should have made them 1/4 inch thick because that's what I had the 10 in, but just some more scrap material.
And can you kind of show a simplistic way to line all of those boards up into those dados to fill the rest of the cabinet?
Sure. I mean, yeah, it takes, so the distance between one and the other is 10. So if I grab a shelf and I say clone in space from the bottom, I want to have 3 clones like that, and they're going to be 10 inches apart. Is that right? Yeah. Okay. One of the things I hope to work on this year is adding a clone a mortise and tenon joint. So, they'll be paired. One will be the other, so you don't have to do that. But for right now, that's the solution is use clone and space twice.
Thank you, Dave.
Okay.
Dave, a quick question. Is there a library that has examples or plans that are out there that you can basically pull in and to your own
Sure.
project and adapt those?
Yeah, there's two levels of that. One is from the library, and you can always add, and I encourage you to add to the library. So here's the library of demo stuff. So here's a right side wall cabinet, a left side wall cabinet, and so forth. All you have to do is click them, put them in, and resize them. And we have a category for doors, drawers, some hardware, boards. Now I don't have any boards. I don't work that way. And then you can even have things like appliances. You just pull them in. So if I get back here to the assembly and say, I want this, this thing. And it's empty. Why is it empty? I don't know. Let's see, from library. Oh, you know what? If it doesn't fit, if the project's too small to handle it, it just won't do that. So there it is. So now, again, take that and just slide it down to the bottom. And with the tools, now this is a box with a face frame. With the tools, you can say 36 inches wide. Red dot here. Right click that red dot. 48 inches tall. And now you're off. Then you'll go off in detail. You see that, Dennis?
Yes, I do. Yeah.
And now,
Well,
now you go into it and you can put you can put a door in there.
Okay.
So I'm going to put a door, and it's the same. That's my point. Is it's over and over and over. It's the same forms, the same tools, the same idea. I'm going to say that's 2. This is 24. Great. Left is going to be 2. That's great. Front will be 0. Insert the door. Now, if I come to back to the assembly, you see the door there. Right. Now the door is empty, but do a shift slide up. Now what I would do is I'd go to the door, into the door, and I'd put a board in. Board, call it door. And it could be a 5-part door. There's, it's easy enough to do that. And if I look down on the spreadsheet, it's 18 inches wide. Down in the spreadsheet, 45 1/4 tall, 45 tall, for example. Depth is 3/4, thickness of the material, height, add board. Oh, what I should probably do is say the door, I don't know how it got to be that thick, but okay. And there it is. Like that. All right.
Yeah, thank you. The other question I was trying to work on is putting together some boards that are glued up, like for cutting boards, for example, that are multiple woods of different widths. They obviously the same thickness, but different widths of cherry, walnut, maple, that sort of thing.
Sure.
I don't know if I could design that with this or not. I think you probably could make multiple boards you put next to each other, but I'm not sure about that.
The way I would do it is let's make another assembly.
Hey, Dennis, would you mind if I kind of preempt your question with something that was specific to the door?
Yeah, I'm fine. Go ahead.
Thanks. Since we were on this real quick. So I ran into the problem in which my project, once I put my doors in, I tried to do a half overlay door.
Yeah.
And I kept getting the error. And I wasn't able to move my assembly back to adjust for
Yep.
half-inch overlay door because it was saying now I'm outside of my project.
Yes, and you were. That's the reason that I developed this tool, because I used to do that all the time. You know, making frameless cabinets, and then suddenly I'm making a frame cabinet and I run into that problem. And what he's saying is that the front of all of his boards have a value of 0, and he wants to put a 3/4 inch overhang door in there, overlay door in there, and so he's 3/4 of an inch wrong. So what you do is you go to the project level and say, I want to work on this assembly, not in it, on it, and come down to the tools and say, we're going to say add space. Okay. And the add space is, well, where do we want it? We want to add it. I actually have to redo this because it confuses me.
So you would need to add 3/4 of an inch to the front.
3/4 of an inch, it adds space. And what that did, oh, see, I got the wrong one. Definitely on the rewrite list. So what that did was it added, in my case, I added both front and back, but it added 3/4 to the front. The reason it's a problem, or more than it needs to be, if I come here, think here, show points of origin. So the point of origin is where front, bottom, and left are all equal to 0. And everything moves away like the direction of the arrows. So I wanted to make this assembly bigger to the right. I could easily say add 100, change the width, and you see that the assembly box grew out that way. Okay, it made the assembly bigger. But I can do it that way. I could make it taller, 60 in the height, and I can make it deeper like this, but I can't, with the exception of using that tool, I can't add space on the front. So it's another, you know, it's just a design decision made years ago. And I'm someday when I get time, I want to clear all these things up. But so that's his issue, is that. So if I wanted to, you know, that's a case of putting a overlay door or a face frame on the front. If where I used to run into it also was with moldings, like a crown molding. So what I can do is I can say, where do my tools go? Actions. Again, I can say add space, and this time I want to add space. See if I can get it right for the change to the left. I want to add 3 inches like that. I did it wrong again. 3 inches. And now you see I've got enough room there to put a bit of a crown molding on there. That's kind of you just have to figure that out and work with it. After a while, you'll just become so used to doing it that you won't need the tool, because you'll remember that, you know, I'm going to put a door on here or something. But if you forget, this is the solution. And someday when I get tons of money and I can hire some more developers, we'll simplify these things. But today's not the day, unless you were all going to make a contribution. Just kidding.
Thanks, Dave. Thanks, Dennis.
Okay, so Brian, did you have a question? Who else had a question there about something?
I was asking about how you would use the tool to make a glue up of boards, like a cutting board with different types of woods, different dimensions on the width.
This is like thinking out of the box. So now I have a door or a drawer, but all they are containers. There's nothing magical about being called a door. So if I said this was a panel, right? Say the height is 3/4, like that. And the width is 36. And the depth is 24. Like that. So it's going to say insert the drawer, but we know it's a panel. does not fit into the boundary. Of course it doesn't. I outsmarted myself. I just want to add an assembly that's big enough to hold that. So I'm adding an assembly. That's fine. Thank you. And then I'm going to put a door in there. And this is going to be called panel. So that's the rule in SketchList. You can't be outside of your container. And I tried to be outside the container. So this is 3/4 with say 24, depth 18, like that. Let's see if this works. What size is the assembly? 48. Depth is 15. 3 inches. Give me a break. Okay. So now what you have is you've got a door. And what you will do is you'll take a drawer, a board, call it part 1. I don't want to put it in assembly. Yeah, I want to put it into the thing I call panel. And here I could even use, I'm gonna stay with the sheet because this would be too thick. Okay. So the width of this board is 24. The height is 3/4. And the depth is going to be whatever, you're going to have different depths. So you say 4. That's going to be the thickness. This is going to be the grain. And like that. So that gives you, let me shut that thing off.
I see.
Now what you can do is you can take this, with the right dot, you can make it whatever size you want. You want this to be 3 inches like that. And then maybe you want to take it and, again, so you can clone and space it from the front like this. You put 3 and I understand, Dennis, that you want to have different sizes, but you'll
Right.
in a second. All right. So
Right.
now I've got this, right? And what I can take is I can take that and make it 7.
Right. Okay.
Well, it no longer fits. But you can change those boards into the different sizes.
Right. You can probably do different types of wood also to show the
Sure.
differences
Sure,
with that for
absolutely.
hardwoods.
So if I
Okay.
grab that board and I come in here and I say material,
Mhm.
just down, and I say, well, I don't have a material I want to use. So let me select the material,
Okay.
goods, and play with this one. Okay. And that should have changed a cherry.
Okay. Gotcha.
Okay. And then what I would do is I would take that panel and save it into the library.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep, that makes sense. Thank you.
You betcha. Anyone else?
Yeah, Dave, I got a question that I think to ask it, it's easier to ask you to take and make a flat board with a miter on each end, and then I can put my question to you. Like, let's say a 1x12 board, 3 foot long, have it laying flat, and just put a miter on each end, 45 degrees, whatever, doesn't matter.
Will this board work for you?
Sure.
Okay. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come down and I'm going to go to board details. Now, do you mean 45 this way or
No.
on the edge?
An actual miter.
Right here.
Right.
Okay.
Off
So
the
I'm going
end.
to say, oops. I'm going to put, I'm going to put a contour on it, let's say.
Oh.
Well, it might have been a miter. I think there's a miter joint.
There is, yeah, I think there's a miter joinery, but yeah, let's, if we could go that way.
Maybe I'm wrong.
I could have sworn there was. What's missing? No, you're in the wrong.
Yeah, I
Cancel
didn't
this
want
one.
that. I want
You want joint,
joint.
joinery. And there's the miter.
All right. And then what again, if I get this right, if I hold down a shift key, I think well, I thought I was doing both ends at once. Oh, because I'm saying none. So I'm going to say miter. Okay. I'm going to do this side. First, oh, there you go.
Okay.
Now,
Make it the full height of the board
okay.
or full depth.
So,
Value 1 probably should be 0.
0.
There we go.
Like that?
Yeah, now let's do the other end. Same thing.
All right. You have so much confidence. I'm going to do it as another step for some reason.
That's fine.
All right, so I grab that one and I do the same thing, joinery. And having grabbed that thing, I say miter, 0.
Okay, so now we have this board.
Yeah.
But actually, this isn't the construction I wanted. What I need is for the miter on one end to be flipped.
Yeah, okay. I got
180 degrees from the way it is now. In other words, I need those miters to actually be parallel to each other when you're done.
So what you want to do is just flip top to bottom.
Oh, I missed that. Okay.
Okay, and that's I think what you got, right?
That's what I was looking for.
Okay, super.
Great, thank you.
Worth the price of admission.
That was too easy. That was way too easy, Dave. You got off way too easy on that.
Well,
one.
you know,
I was waiting to hear from you, Ed. I was waiting.
Sometimes.
Right, I'll throw you guys a bone. Say the word dovetail.
Oh, geez. Wait.
No, don't waste your time on dovetails.
Half blind to go with me? I don't know. Actually, you know, I had emailed you earlier in the week about doing a crown molding, and I watched the video, and I think I grasped what it was, but I think a little interactive demo of
Sure.
how that would work would be good.
Absolutely. Everybody wants to see that. So let's see. Get out of here.
And in my case, I'm going to model some that goes around the ceiling at the top of a wall and wrap around a bookcase. And then, of course, the other application would be for around cabinets.
So there's two ways to do this. One is the hard way, which I never pursue, and the other is the easy way, which is my favorite way. The hard way is by taking, like, I'm going to wrap, first of all, I'm going to take that and I'm going to say show unit box off because sometimes it gets in the way. So I'm going to, if I wanted to wrap a molding around the top of that through 3 edges, right? The hard way is to create the board with a 45 here and clone and mirror it over there, and then put another board on the front and put a 45 on both ends, and then contour the fronts. The easy way to do it is just what I do is I just lay down one big board. It's like 3 inches thick. It's as big as the cabinet plus 2 or 3 inches on each side. And then I just put the cove on the big board. And what do you gain? You gain a lot. You get a lot of time. What do you lose? Nothing. Because the only thing is it's going to affect your optimizer because you're going to get this clunky board that's 3 inches thick and it's too big and you won't optimize it. But I think it's an easier way to do it. But I'll do it the hard way because we're here.
It's funny because the easy way that you described is what I was envisioning before you even sent me that video.
Well, let me show you the easy way. Big cove, let's just call it that. Now I'm going to need some, I could use my...
Yeah, make it out of a 2x4.
Well, what I want to do is make sure that I'm going to just pick a material because I don't want to run into constraints about the thickness and everything like that.
Got it.
So, and I have some crazy thick stuff here. Here we go.
And Dave, that was actually my question for tonight was
Yeah.
the requirement now for material and picking that. And we don't have to spend time tonight because it's rather advanced, but it has to do with the width and the height and the thickness and the difference in the way that you name it in materials and the way that you name it in the board in the assembly. So anyway,
That's gonna be a discussion.
yep. Okay. All right. Then we'll
get
talk
into
about it some
that.
other time.
Next week is fine. Yeah.
Okay.
So
All right.
I'm going to
Thanks.
take this board, which is,
Now I'm going to have to come back next
you know
week
what? I'm
for
going to
the
make a
discussion.
new board. I'm going to make a new board, solid lumber, new board. And this is going to be molding. Solid lumber. The width will be 4. The length will be 96. And the thickness is going to be 4. Okay. Grain direction will run the length. And there we go.
496. Okay.
And that should be.
Hey, Dave, my apologies. I've got to duck out. I'll give you a phone call regarding that cut list issue.
Yeah,
Thank
please do. Or send me a text and then we can arrange a time to get together because
Perfect.
I'm on the phone quite a bit.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks for coming, Brian. Okay, so we're going to use that molding board, which is 4x4, and the width is going to be, and I'll just take, this is going to be 4, and the depth is going to be whatever the depth is of that thing. I'm going to make it 14 just so I don't mess up. I'm going to call, now this is the important part. Well, it won't work on a big slab, but if you're going to do individual boards, the way this works is the surfaces are top and bottom, and the edges are the sides. Because you can only cut a cove or a contour in an edge. So what that means is if I'm going to have
Okay.
the width be the thickness, boy, I'm having a hard time thinking here. Thickness, oh, I got it. So the thickness is going to be, I'm just going to make a board. It's not going to fit.
It doesn't have to. It's the concept I'm looking for.
It's the concept, right? So it's 36. And I'm going to say that the height is definitely the thickness. Familiar material. Oh, shoot. All right, I'm going to do it this way. 4 inches. Let's see what happens.
I think should be good.
496. It should be good. There we go. Okay, well, I guess I did it the hard way. But I take that part. Now, if I go into the assembly, right, take that part. What I want to notice is the top of that is 48. So the bottom of this is going to be 48, depending on how you think about it. But I shift it up there, okay? And also what I want, I really wanted to take that and have 4 inches off the top. So I'd use that tool I showed a little while ago, push everything back 4 inches. But a little bit
This is fine.
of a hurry. So we're going to go that way, right?
Okay.
And then what I'm saying is, remember, this is the, grab the board, go to board detail level, details. And in this case, I'm going to grab I'm going to try it again. I keep trying this. Yeah, it's not, there's something wrong. Anyway, I need to fix that. So I'm going to go here and say contour. And that's on that edge. And I'm just going to put in say a cove like that. let's see if this works. Radius, I'm going to change it. The radius is always, I think, a third of the value. So I'm going to say this is 3. And I want to have it come from the bottom like that, right? Now I say save. Now, if I go back to the assembly, you see, there it is. Ta-da! And I can do it on the other side, and I can do it on the front. And that's the easiest way to do it. And all you have to do is be cognizant that that's not going to go through the optimizer. The other way to do it is just, in fact, it's not that hard to do. I could say, I'm going to take this and change the width to 4, like that, right? And now, because this is a surface, I can detail, oops. I can detail that, grab the surface of my board and say, oh, come on. And say, oh, I messed this up. That's not the surface. See, that's a mistake. Because if this was a surface, oh, I know. That becomes part of the contour. So we can't fool with it. But if I took that, you see it becomes a surface. That's crazy, but that's the way it is. Now, if I say I want to shape that, and so it's 4 inches deep, so I take the select point here, select that point, and say that's 4 inches from the front, update and save, and you see, guess what? Ta-da! I have a 45-degree cut. Now, I got a little sloppy there, and I'm in a hurry, but you could see that you could do the other boards that way if you want.
Yeah, now I got to go back and